So I get well, it's 7 o'clock. I guess we can go ahead and get started. Um, thank you all so much for coming here. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I just kind of really wanted to start kind of a Gita study that's just really broken down and does takes it slow. Of course, it isn't the goal of this isn't to rush anything or to lecture, or it's really kind of open discussion and just kind of reflect together and just kind of get our minds working. Personally, this text has deeply shaped me. I've kind of been on the path of bhakti yoga for about 4 years now, and it's still I'm still learning from it. I think it's an endless search, but it's you know, there's no prior need for you all to have any knowledge or a little knowledge or some knowledge, whatever, because we'll dive in that together. Again, I did start like a WhatsApp group. You can join it if you want. Just message me. I can get you connected, and it can just be related to this. Or if anybody's got any questions, you can just message me, obviously. Or if 2 days down the road you're like, "What the hell did that mean?" Then you can message me, and like we can talk through it and try to figure it out. I don't have all the answers, obviously, but I don't mind diving in and us figuring it out. And we'll just see what this text has to say historically, of course, philosophically, and personally, how we can apply to our lives. And of course, questions and reflections are always welcome. So
What are we on?
we're going to start right at the start, man. Chapter 1, verse 1 is where we're going to crack open. So um, just to give some background, because some people may be familiar and some may not. This Vedic text was actually spoken over 5,000 years ago. Um, and that's one thing I think's amazing is it can be this old, but it can still apply to things today on how we use it. And like I said, this is discussion based, so I'm going to ask some questions after we read some stuff, and there's no pressure to speak. And we're just going to cover the first 10 verses today. But to give you all just some background in case you may or may not know, the Bhagavad Gita is actually just a sliver of what's known as the Mahabharata, which is a giant text. And this is just a little tiny piece of it. And the Mahabharata is it's pretty awesome. There's actually I think you can get on Netflix and they've got this like of course it's all in Hindi, but you can watch like some of the I think they'll do like subtitles for it, but it's actually they have the Mahabharata. It's really cheesy too, but it's really kind of cool to watch, because you can kind of get the story, especially when you get to the part where the Bhagavad Gita is, because it's almost like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme because you're like, like you recognize parts like when you're watching it, which is pretty cool. But the Mahabharata is all about there's these royal families that are just having conflict. It's the Pandavas versus the Kauravas, and it's set at Kurukshetra, which of course is where we're going to start at. And Kurukshetra was actually a battlefield, obviously, as we're going to see, but it was also a sacred pilgrim, really, a sacred site for pilgrimage that people would go to. And so there was a lot having that background and mentality to know that this is a sacred site, but it's also somewhere we're getting ready to do battle is kind of a lot when you think about it, especially when they're there in the moment, right? So, one thing we're going to see is that Arjuna, as we get through, he's going to face a moral and kind of an emotional crisis, trying to figure out what he's supposed to do with his life and how he's supposed to get through this. And we'll see that Krishna doesn't even speak in these first 10 texts, but the tension is already building for the battle and everything like that. So, one thing that I think is pretty interesting that we'll see is that the Gita doesn't actually begin in peace. It's actually begins in tension and conflict, which is kind of interesting. So, um, I think everybody may have this version of the Bhagavad Gita as it is that's here. So, if because I think I just gave one to Teresa so on Sunday. So you got this one. So I actually had it. Whoop, whoop. I actually had it pulled up because you can also go to Vedabase.io and it's on there for free as well as like tons of other books related to Krishna and other books written by Srila Prabhupada and other books also translated by him. So I could pull that up, but if everybody's got the book, then I think we're good to go. So I'm just going to read verse 1 starting off, and then we're going to talk about that a little bit about verse 1. So, um, this is chapter 1, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So, Dhartashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So, one thing to note is the king, Dhartashtra, he's actually physically blind. It doesn't state this here, but again, this is just a sliver of the Mahabharata. So to give you a little background, he's actually physically blind. So that's why he's asking Sanjaya, what's going on out there? Like what's going on? And one thing you notice is he talks about after my sons and the sons of Pandu assemble. So one thing that we'll learn as we're going through this is that we start to kind of learn about detachment and attachment to things in this material world. And he's already right out of the gate, he's showing attachment. Now, not attachment doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing, but it's like small quantities. You only can take like if you're too attached to things and you can't let go, then that gets to be an issue, right? So, anyway, he's showing attachment there by just already talking about his sons and the sons of Pandu. Um, and his attachment's actually, Srila Prabhupada talks about this in the purport. His attachment actually clouds his judgment, as we'll see, because the attachment is visible before Krishna even speaks here. So again, to note, it's a holy place, but he's got an impure motive because they're going to battle at this holy land. Um, I do think it's interesting though that the Gita actually begins literally with Dhritarashtra who's blind. So the Gita begins with blindness, and I think from things I've read and from Srila Prabhupada's purport, the king was scared because of the sanctity of Kurukshetra and how it might influence his sons, and they may not want to fight because it's a sacred place. Um, so it's just anyway, the sacred setting doesn't necessarily guarantee sacred intention, which is kind of we see that a lot in current times. You no matter what the religion or belief system is, there's of course a lot of people that have a sacred setting, but that doesn't mean that their intentions are sacred. But again, it is interesting that the wisdom here actually begins with blindness. So, why do you guys think that it would start with a blind king with blindness out of the gate like that? Any thoughts?
Anybody?
Yeah, I hear you.
No, I'm saying anybody.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sounds like you're up, Odell.
Yeah, I've been dealing with the sick bulldog, man. So just bear with me. It starts with a blind change. Is my interpretation. I mean, like just from listening to Ray and everybody. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like our eyes were blind, and then until they were open, up to the truth and everything, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
So it's starting out with a blind gene until his eyes were well for us metaphorically, I would
sure.
say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's starting. I guess to me, it would just be wise to starting out with a blind gene would be. I think we're all blind. Like we're born that way, in a
Mhm.
sense. You know what I mean? Until we get shown different,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think that's good. Yeah, it's because I think he was physically blind, but it's also very symbolic, you know.
Yeah, that's where I was getting at, like
Yeah.
the symbolic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
symbolism of it.
yeah,
But
I'll piggyback off of that. Like the light, you can't recognize light until you recognize dark.
sure.
And the light is born out of the darkness.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
like the universe was dark, then it became light. It didn't go light and then go dark. It started dark
Yeah.
and I think that's how all creation is. Everything
Mhm.
starts in that dark, small,
and
Sure.
what
container of space, and then the light The spark
Or
is
what does it say?
great.
The blindness, born into blindness of ignorance.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and
So,
I think it's also one of those things too where, and we'll kind of touch on this here in a minute too, but it's like you don't realize how good things are until they're bad. You know what I mean? So, so I think it also
Right.
makes you appreciate stuff even more. You know, when you have almost the aha moment's always a good thing, right? So,
what we say in recovery.
yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. We're going to read 2 through 6. Read this chunk here. And kind of talk about this a little bit. So, text 2. Sanjaya said, "O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words: O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yudhodhana, Virata, and Drupada. There are also great, heroic, and powerful fighters like Drustaketu, Cheketana, Kesraj, Purujit, Kuntiboj, and Sabia. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Yuta Mayuj, and the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Drupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. All right. So one thing that's kind of funny is that I always like as I was getting this together is normally if you were just kind of reading this by yourself, this is like the part you'd probably skip or like go over because it's like just a bunch of hard names to pronounce and it doesn't really seem pertinent. But um, Duryodhana is reacting to the Pandava army. So what he's focusing on first is the enemy strength, what everybody has out there. And he's like goes to his teacher and he starts listing all these strong warriors that are on the other side. So insecurity and tension are just building underneath this alleged confidence, that he has. And Srila Prabhupada talks about in these purports here that Duryodhana was materially intelligent, but he was spiritually blind. And I think that's one thing that's especially in today's climate is that political intelligence doesn't always equal righteousness. And that's
What?
I know, right? And that's really what's going on here is he was not a good king. And his envy drove much of the conflict that we'll see. And again, that kind of goes back into the Mahabharata where I mean, it's an insane story if you dive into the stuff before. I mean, it's like a soap opera. I mean, there's like rape, there's killing, there's murder, I mean, people betraying each other and so it's been building for quite a while. But um, what's interesting is Drew Yodhana literally had a massive army. I mean, massive. But the first thing he does is point out the strength of the other side. And I think that's pretty relatable. A lot of times we don't realize our own strength. And like I said, that's why I think it's kind of funny as I was diving into this because I've read the Gita about 3 times now. And I don't know if I've ever really dove into those because I've always like, I want to get to where Krishna's talking, I want to get the meat. And
Right.
it's interesting to if you stop and pause on that, it is really interesting that he's focusing on the strength of the other side because power doesn't remove insecurity. And external advantage it doesn't equal internal peace. So just because you've got the upper hand doesn't mean that you're okay with yourself inside, right? So, um, and of course, we don't have to memorize these names. They're really not that relevant, except for, of course, they mentioned Arjuna. But what kind of matters is the energy of the moment, where the beginning of the Gita here is showing the limits of material intelligence because you got this king thinking he can win this battle, but then all he starts talking about is the other side. I mean, have you all ever seen confidence that hides insecurity before? I mean, I
Oh,
think
that's the
that's
story of my life.
yeah.
Straight story of my life.
Yeah. Well, but
Everyone's like, "Oh my God, you have it all together," and I'm like, "Oh my God, no, it just looks
yeah.
that way."
Well, and I mean, that's one of those things where a lot of you always hear people say fake it till you make it, you know? And I mean, that can get you so far, but if you don't address the things that are within and look and self-reflect, then that's totally,
Right? You're always looking for the external to
yeah,
validate yourself.
exactly.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Odell? Nothing?
Um, no, I'm just saying. I think, in a sense, though, I mean, he's talking about the other army, and like even though they got a strong one too, though he's like humbly aware. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of the strength of someone else. Um, just looking, from my point of view, or wait, from my background,
Hmm.
just me and you talk, but I'm not sure I
Sure.
met you, so I'm Odell.
That's
Um,
Teresa.
yeah, hi Teresa.
She's good people.
No, no, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. I try to be. You know what I mean?
I don't bite through Zoom.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just you talking about great confidence through insecurities. That's a very big defense mechanism that people have. I mean, especially like if you're in prison or anything else. Like I've seen it
Mhm.
multiple times when I was away to college. You know, um,
Yeah.
but also I don't know. I looked at it as a different perspective because I've read this. I've read the Gita a couple times too,
Sure.
like in the beginning part and everything. Because when he starts going to, I'm moving forward a little bit, but when he goes like Krishna starts talking like you have a duty and everything else, but
Yeah.
um, I'm looking at it as at least like he has an awareness. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
reality check awareness of
Sure.
and humble enough to know that like you might have met your match on this type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing. That's just
Sure.
like you were saying in this political climate. Maybe we need to start like why ain't you thinking like this too, buddy? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Instead of like biting off a little bit more than we should chew type thing. But
Well, and I
um,
think that's good because, a lot of times you don't think someone in power is going to feel threatened, but they do. They probably just hide it, you know?
why? But yeah, but I mean, but wise people know. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that's like going. When I used to box or fight. When you're going into something like, yeah, this is gonna hurt, but I'm. You know what I mean? Like I'm going into it, so.
Yeah. I think that's good. Did you have something, Teresa, or you good?
I like the humble awareness piece. I like
Yeah.
Mm,
that you said humble. I wrote the humble awareness down. Yeah. I think I think it's probably most likely for the last 5,000 years human nature to uh regardless of what you have, and I know from my own personal experience, it doesn't matter how hard I work, it doesn't matter what I do and what I try to do, it's somebody like there's that somebody's doing it better.
Hmm.
And so it's kind of, for me personally in my life, I'm trying to just be like, somebody may be doing it better, but only I can fight the battle of my only I can fight my own battle. I
Sure.
can't fight somebody else's battle. I can only show up with my guns blazing, and
Well,
that's
and
the foundation of life.
without giving a spoiler, kind of Odell kind of
Mhm.
touched on it, but we'll get into, everybody has a role, and you
mm,
have,
Right. Well, we
so
talked about that the other day when
yeah,
when I studied this last year for that meditation teacher training.
yeah.
That was the pivotal moment in
Talking
the
about your
whole thing
Dharma.
for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, dharma versus karma, because I was so caught up in, oh my God, like this is my karma and it's coming back to get me. And then I realized by reading the Gita that it was never my karma, it was the other person's karma. It was my
Yeah.
dharma for it to act the way I was just literally, I was literally figuratively and literally, I was the vehicle that
Yeah.
their karma
Yeah.
was
But then,
probably
but then you got to act like I'm making a joke here. But like, what if you're on a plane and then there's someone else's karma, and it's the pilot's karma? You know what I mean? And you're like, oh no,
well, and
oh
that's
no.
exactly what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Mine was in relation to a car accident.
Yeah,
And the other gentleman caused the accident, but he died. And I took the hit of the accident and watched him die, but it wasn't my fault. But for months it was stuck in my head that like it was I that was like that I was the accident was caused by my karma. And it was through studying this that I was like, wait, no, I was the dharma part of it. It was his
Yeah.
karma that caused him to die.
yeah.
I was the vehicle that, of the dharma that caused it. So
But you could
yeah,
also,
I know we're moving ahead to like 2.4, but
but also you got to think about it too, because there may be a karma aspect for you as well of
oh,
like,
there
what
was
can
such
you
a karma
learn?
aspect. Yeah.
What am I supposed to
Yeah, yeah,
learn in
yeah.
this life?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. I mean, but there were so many different
oh yeah,
elements. The one that haunted me the most was him dying.
sure, absolutely. Well,
Him
yeah,
dying, and that, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. I do believe me. There was a whole lot of karma that came
yeah,
through in that accident. That was my own. I reaped a lot of, and not just bad. There was good that came out of it too.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, there was good that came. I didn't see it at the time, but now looking back, I'm like, oh well, somebody hit you.
Yeah. And
Oh, yeah.
that's, I mean, and so the, besides like the punk and hardcore scene that kind of got me into this and everything, like more wanting to get into this and everything, but I'm also a person in long term recovery. I'm a formerly incarcerated person. About 7 to 8 years off and on in and out of jails and prisons. But um, I've said that to make this point with the recovery part of it. When we're talking about karma or just whatever with the humble awareness that I was saying. Um, the reason why is because in like the recovery aspect, and when we remember Jeremiah, when we were doing those groups with
Mhm.
Wisdom of the Sages and
Yeah,
everything else,
yeah,
I was with hell, Jiva.
yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, so she does the whole recovery thing with
Hmm.
Bhakti recovery. And we were talking about like how it's just a natural feeling for someone in recovery that steps into this, and it's just like you already are aware of everything because everything that it talks about in the Gita, and it's pretty much you're going to like a 12 step meeting, or you're going to because the reason why I'm saying bringing that up is the karma or whatever people in recovery, we sit and work on ourselves and all the damage and harm that we've done and caused, and we try to uh, make ourselves better than who we were yesterday every day. All right,
Hmm.
and part of that is trying to like, I don't know if there's such a thing where you can rebrand or rebuild your karma. You know what I mean? But it's something
Yeah,
that we try to focus on all the time. I was a complete terrorist when I was in active addiction out on the streets or wherever I was, but then now I do outreach. So it's just I don't do that specifically for karma. I just got a passion for it. But hopefully, maybe that resets me. You know what I mean?
but it does reset you. It does. It
You
does.
know,
Because like Jeremiah's a bhakti yogi, but I'm a karma yogi. And so that's the branch of yoga that I go down. And yes, it does. Like in the breath that you're taking right now, your karma it's always
mm,
whatever you're putting out. It's not what you put. I mean, what you put out before is what's coming back now. But what
mm,
you're putting out now is what's going to come back in the future. So when you're doing stuff like that and acts of service, which I know in recovery, acts of service are huge because the karmic benefits of it is
Hmm.
huge. So yeah, no, you're repairing your karma. You just have to not go back to your old ways.
right, right. Yeah, well, yeah,
Right.
but
Right. And I'm not just saying that for you in recovery. I'm saying that for just anybody. It's like you learn the lesson and
and
you read that, but it's like, okay, so if I can put out this much positive good karma and just a little bit, it's going to come back in that same proportion when it comes
yeah,
back. So,
and like going and then branching off that and then going back into like you know um the humble awareness, like when he was sitting there, pretty much surveying and measuring out the enemy and everything else. And just follow me here for a second. I'm going to bring it together. I promise. The reason why I'm saying that, like even bringing that up, and I still smoke. My karma's still, anyway. Um,
Smoking, that's only hurting your lungs. You ain't hurting us in Zoom.
I do it for everybody else's health, not mine, because if not, then I'm a terrorist again. But um, let's see, what was I saying? Oh yeah, yeah. So you got that humble awareness, and that means to me, this is someone who's a mastery of this craft, right? He's been in many battles, he's seen all this, and he's obviously he's been good at it because he's alive, right? And he
Yeah.
survived. So that goes with the whole thing in my world. That as I'm trying to rebuild that karma and everything else, I stay humbly aware. But the only thing that I don't like is that I still have this desensitized. I'm desensitized to a lot of things
Mhm.
because I've seen a lot of death, whether it's overdose, murder, whatever. Like I've just seen a lot of that, and one of the things that doesn't affect me anymore. As bad as that sounds, it just it really doesn't have that big of effect on humans. Now, animals, my dogs, and everybody else, I still got a real big soft heart. I feel bad. Don't get me wrong, but it's just I have a humble awareness that we put ourselves in those situations. So those
Yeah.
situations that we put ourselves in, we, what I mean, just like whatever you put out comes back. Whatever you're testing is going to test you back. But that's why I like how he's got that humble awareness of the surrounding the armies and all that stuff, because that's how I view the world as well. Is that I have a humble awareness of the situation at hand, right?
Yeah.
And so I use a lot of this, man. Like I haven't been to the Sunday ones in a while. So I've been working every Sunday, but
Yeah.
a lot of the Jesus stuff, man, that I read, and then a lot of different things that I watch, it inspires me to like. It lets me know that like, it's a repeat.
Mhm.
You
You
know what I
got to
mean?
learn.
It
You got it. Well, that's kind of the karma aspect of your
Yeah, yeah, right,
learning,
right.
you know?
It might be a different.
Energy's just,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a different battle, but it's the same type of war, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
I don't know if I made sense there. I'm just
No,
saying, like in
100%.
my
Yeah.
No,
perspective, is
you
like,
definitely,
um,
you're making sense.
yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it because I enjoy reading something that has to do with somebody else who was a master at their craft, for one thing, and then they survived long enough to know and have the wisdom to know, uh, and to be humble about, oh no, that's
Yeah.
not, you know what I mean? That's not good and everything else. But then, like, not spoiler alert, but then when you move forward,
Yeah.
like Jeremiah said, we learn that we have a role, we have a purpose, and that
Mhm.
we don't need to fight that. So,
Well, let's move on to 7 and 10 and see what happens here. So, so I'll go ahead and read 7, and then we'll go all the way to 10 and kind of button this up. So text 7. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Asvatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Brusirava, who are always victorious in battle. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by Grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. So it's I think he's trying to remind Drona of loyalty and who's on his side, and this is where he starts comparing our army. This is our army versus their army. Well, we got all these people, and he's obviously says there that their strength is unlimited, right? Um, but as we'll learn, he's got quantity versus the quality that's on the other side. Because as we'll learn, Arjuna and Krishna are actually on the other side. And I think that's why deep seated, he knew that Arjuna and Krishna were over there. He knew this was a holy place. And that's why there was an underlying fear of, I hope we have enough people. He's because I think that's why he first started to look across and be like, oh crap, they have all these people. But you know what? We've got all these people, they got all these great weapons. It's unlimited, but material strength alone is never ultimate protection. It's just because you have strength in numbers doesn't necessarily mean if you've got inner strength and something, a higher power fighting for you, that's
You don't have to do
ultimately,
any work.
yeah, that's hard to defeat. So
Yeah, you just get to sit back and let the spirit guides take the
yeah.
wheel.
Well, and real
And
strength.
that's not just in battle, that's in
Oh
life,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
and I kind of going back to kind of what we were talking about, real strength comes from alignment with Dharma, and it's luckily everybody here because I wrote down a definition of Dharma just in case there was somebody that may have joined that wasn't familiar with it. But I'll just go ahead and read it just because it's kind of a cool description of it. But Dharma is one's essential duty, nature, and responsibility in alignment with truth. Dharma refers to the right way of living according to one's nature and role in harmony with divine order. It's a theme, obviously, through the Gita. And Dharma isn't a religion, it's just a means of living in alignment with your deepest nature and responsibilities. So it's, I think once we start to realize those things, it's pretty interesting. But as we'll learn from the king here, um, superiority rooted in ego typically leads to a downfall. And,
Right.
you know, while it may, you know, while it may look like he's like assessing the army and knowing what he's going against over there, I think it feels like it's more, and kind of even like in Prabhupada's purports, he's he's almost arrogant, thinking like, oh, I've got all these people, trying to convince himself here at the end that he's got enough people, listing his own commanders. But he's what's interesting, and I think this is kind of psychologically interesting, is that he's speaking to his teachers in a way that sounds confident, where he's kind of convincing it, but there's a underlying anxiousness there, of like we said, he's trying to convince himself that everything's going to be okay. But I'm
Don't we
sure,
all?
yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and again, not trying to, this doesn't even fit just in the political realm, but like everywhere. And I know we probably all have worked or been around people like this before, but sometimes when people talk the loudest about strength, it's because they're trying to convince themselves.
Right.
Frank Lucas, the loudest in the room is the weakness in the room.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the point of,
American Gangster.
yeah. Heck yeah. Um, but I think that's interesting though, because, just even in these first 10, Krishna hasn't even spoken yet, but we've already seen attachment, insecurity, and comparison, like comparing people to other people, insecurities. And like I said, it's to me diving into this and trying to study it and trying to get like morsels to share with people. Um, it was interesting because I've read over those first 10 multiple times and just kind of been like, oh, they're just getting ready for battle. But if you really try to deep dive into it and kind of just dive into the human element of it and put yourself in their shoes of like what's going on, it's pretty interesting. Uh, but why do you think, just throwing a question out there, why do you think we try to convince others of our strength? What do you think that is?
Well, let me hold on. I'm gonna let you all answer. I just want to make a statement real quick. I'm
Yeah.
glad you did this, man. No offense to the Sunday thing, you know what I mean, but we don't
Yeah.
really deep dive, you know what I mean,
No.
so much into it. And honestly, like I read it before, and but I just want to say, like, anytime you reread something, you learn something different, or
Yeah.
you get a different point of view, right?
Perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, perspective. So yeah, I just want to say
No.
kudos.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, and that was kind of my intent is just like 10 verses at a time, but like really take the time to kind of dive into them and
Hmm.
how can they be applied and related to current life, because like I said, sometimes I read all those names. I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm going to keep flipping this page just because it's a lot and it's almost distracting. But if you stop for a second and, like I said, put yourself in the human element of it, you're like, oh man, there's kind of a lot going on right here, just even in the first 10. And we haven't even really gotten to the meat and potatoes of Bhagavad Gita. Um, but
So what was your question? I didn't know.
like, why do you think we try to convince others that we have strength or that, of our strength?
Was it
Because we're trying to convince ourselves.
Well, yeah. Well, and
or
I think,
ego?
well, and also think that it's because I had this conversation with my oldest son a couple days ago because his grandfather's not doing well, and he was afraid to go over there because he didn't want to act like he was like weak because he was might cry or something. I'm like, dude, let him flow, buddy. Like, dude, it's your grandfather, like it's okay. So I think in today's society, no matter your age bracket, I think everybody's afraid to show like vulnerability. And because, oh, if you're weak, you're gonna get trampled on. But like ultimately, does that really matter? Like,
But that's a big culture thing too, though. You know what I
hmm
mean?
yeah,
Like, this. I mean, I'm Irish as hell. You know what I mean? So my grandfather and my dad and everybody like that. That was just that's how you were raised, right?
yeah, yeah.
Like you don't show emotion. Therapy's not that's not for us. We don't
hmm
do any of this. You're supposed to be a provider and never be all this and what blah 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 blah. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So that
They
like that.
say they say statistically, sorry to interrupt you, but they say statistically that's why women outlive men
Oh.
Well, and plus we're dumb.
because 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 we give
Yeah,
ourselves and build armor with our words. Yeah,
yeah,
but like as women, we're allowed to break down.
yeah,
Yeah.
We're allowed to show emotion, even though it's tough, to show emotion as a woman, because then everyone's like, you're weak. And it's like, yeah, but it's okay. But I think for men, especially like Gen Xers, I think the men that I come across in my age group, I think the younger generations kind of are different. Like my nephew's emotional, his friends are emotional, they'll
yeah.
let the tears flow. But I just feel like when I was growing up, the guys that I was hanging out with and the guys that I'm around now, it's like they feel like they've just been so trained like a
Yeah.
warrior to not emote, and you have to digest what you ingest.
Well,
And
and that's one thing I've tried to be an advocate for is like I'll tell people I've went to therapy, like I'm not afraid to tell them,
right,
because it's
right,
like, especially somebody that looks like me, covered in tattoos and stuff, when they're like,
right.
"Hey, I was in therapy." They're like, "Wait,
My
what?"
therapist
You
looks
know?
like you. I mean, he's got
Yeah.
my therapist is in AA, and I seeked him out for that. I
Yeah.
wanted somebody that was in recovery and understood that. And like the tattoos and stuff were just a bonus.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Um,
yeah.
Faith said, well, she's in the other room, so every time she tries to chime in, it just echoes really bad. But
Oh, sorry, Faith.
yeah, but she put in the chat, I think it's because we try to protect ourselves and build an armor with our words. So, yeah.
Right,
Yeah, and it's
right.
why we try to push off that. But you also asked something else, and I heard you say, why do we try to compare, right?
hmm
Everything else. I don't like. I think that's because of people do a lot of comparing, man, as far as like materialism as well. But like as far as just their life and everything goes, man, social media has done a number on
Yeah.
society and culture because I could take the picture right here and make it look like I got $1 million house. You know what I mean? And then somebody else is going to see that and start comparing themselves and then start feeling down on themselves because
Yeah.
they're not where that person is or their relationship isn't like
Yeah.
this person's
And it may
relationship.
not even be reality. Yeah.
Not reality at all. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, even if it wasn't social media, man, like just because you see somebody driving a decent car or something like that, they may just borrow that car, or if they are walking around and they look like they're happy with this person, but you don't know what's going on in their head either.
Yeah.
I think it's all has to do with visual perception, what you're wanting to push out there. It's like we compare ourselves to others because we want to look better than the next person, or we want to look and sound stronger than the next person. It's a defense mechanism for ourselves more so than anybody else, right?
Well, and I also
Um,
think too, if you're looking outward, that means you're not looking inward. And
No, yeah, for sure.
a lot of people don't want to dive inside because they realize, man, I'm kind of screwed up. I've got a lot of stuff I need to work on. Oh well, look at that person, and that's kind of the comparative aspect, kind of like what's
Yeah,
going on here,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think
At
it's
least I'm not like that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Man, that guy's really screwed up. I'm not too bad, that, and I
Right.
think that's just something we got to keep in mind is that, we can't always look that
That's
way.
that is absolutely why I fell in love with the practice of yoga when I did. I was a latecomer to yoga. I felt like I was 34 when
Hmm.
I took my first yoga class. And Odell, when I showed up for my first yoga class, when I was done, I went outside and smoked a cigarette, and it was the best freaking cigarette I ever smoked. I smoked for 18 years. And I mean, you can hear it in my voice. That's why my voice is so raspy. I was like 2 packs a day smoker.
yeah.
So
I mean, I smoke two
yeah, I
packs. I'm
finally just
39,
got sick
so
of yeah, I finally just got sick of sinus infections, and I was started practicing yoga and feeling into my breath. But you have like the practice for me anyways, when I get on my mat, not when I'm teaching, but when I'm taking a class, and of course it all depends on the teacher that you study with. And I studied under the late great Amanda McMain, who held space, a very scary space for us to explore everything that we're talking about. Like, why do I care? Like,
Hmm.
why, you know, just having it's the battle inside your own mind
Yeah,
of, like, why did I react that my sister went and bought a Mercedes? What does it matter? I mean, I have a car that gets me from here to there,
yeah,
but why did that upset me? And or when you see something on social media and you feel the sensation, and I think that's why I love the yoga practice. I'll loop it around. Is
yeah.
that you start to feel like the embodiment of jealousy, anger, greed, and all these, lower vibrational comparison. But then you learn how to work that energy out and check yourself where it's like, okay, I'm not my first thought. That's
Hmm.
not me. What, like, let me think this through. Why did that affect me? Why did that bother me? And then all of a sudden you start just peeling off this stuff. Like, I don't care if you're wearing a $99 pair of yoga pants when you come into class. I mean, I've never cared anyways. I've always been a hippy dippy. I'm like the cheapest of the cheap. I'm not spending money on anything. I came from a family of Italian immigrants. You just get what you get, and if it covers you up, good. But yeah, there's that aspect of like in the yoga practice where you have this time and space where you're disconnected from everything. Your mind's doing a million different. Your mind is in its own battle against yourself,
Hmm.
and you learn to
are
move
we not
that.
programmed though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so
Oh,
programmed.
So, like, I mean, like
Everybody's programmed. Like
commercials, advertisement,
your
everything else.
parents,
Yeah, and
your
just in
parents, your
society.
grandparents, your culture, your friends, like,
so let me
yeah,
ask you that, guys, this then. Do you think that conflicts begin externally or internally?
internally, and
Internally.
they're projected externally.
Yeah.
Well, for me, anyways. I think it
Yeah.
might be different for everybody, though. I think
But I
some
think if
people,
you, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I think some people um, thrive on conflict. They
Yeah.
don't know a life without
But
conflict,
I think that's
And
also probably distraction because they're afraid to go internally. So I
well,
personally,
because
I
when
think
you're all
everything,
quiet,
yeah. Personally, I think everything is internal. It's just comes out externally, whether that's getting
projected,
angry at
yeah, it's
people as a defense
No, it
mechanism.
absolutely eternal. Like, what, like, okay, so going back to the recovery thing, when we're talking about like people are scared to deep dive into eternally and everything else, but that's what keeps you sick.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like if you don't go deep dive inside yourself and find out, like, that's why we always say, like, recovery people, yeah, not everybody's perfect or anything else, but at least we know who we are
Hmm.
because we like, well, people who's actually put work in and
Sure.
actually done things. You know what I mean?
right, right.
Because you got people out there that's never touched a drug alcohol, or anything else, but yet they're still pardon my language, but they're still pieces of shit regardless because they don't know themselves or know like what they're doing as far as that. So they look down on others or like even people who are in recovery They're like, oh, I never did that and everything that. But yeah, but you still got that sick mentality like we had when we were still using it. The only difference is, man, is like we actually took time to deep dive and check on ourselves and everything else. Are we perfect? No. But when we do something that's messed up or maybe harmful or something like that, we immediately try to take action on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to you, or just in general statement, right? As opposed to someone else who hasn't done the work or doesn't anything like that. Um, you can do that and then just keep moving along because that's your life and that's what you know because you don't know any other way. You haven't tried to do anything or do any work or anything, right?
Yeah.
And you're right, man. It's all eternal. You're born like with an eternal stuff like that. Even when we're kids and we see another kid have a toy that we want, we go over there and try to steal it, right? But like as a taught behavior to not do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
just like any, but then you can be taught good behavior, but you can also be taught the bad behavior.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
And
And I think that's evident. Yeah.
yeah.
some people are just living, trying to
Unless,
survive. That's
hell
Yeah.
yeah,
like survival itself is a whole, another aspect of all of it, where it's like they don't see any other option. So it may not be a toy as a kid, but like as an adult, you steal somebody's money, or
uh,
Oh yeah.
and really it's like you have either an
I'd
addiction to
like,
feed, or you have bills to pay, and there's just, you're at the bottom of the barrel, you don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And I think Faith put it in the comments the
Yeah.
best about, I think you project what's inside of you in most cases. It's the energy you give out.
Yeah.
You're
so what do we do? Like, so like, as I've listened to a lot of, wisdom of the sages and, and everything else. And we're talking about, like, I just had a genuine question for you all or anybody else who's been doing, reading and studying and for a while. Since we're talking about that, we're talking about the eternal, we're talking about people who might, compare or something like that. And
Mhm.
then, you have some people who's been, and I get it. It does sound amazing if you could do it when you're like, well, we need to not focus on this and not focus on that and start focusing on this with our mind and stuff, right? But it's kind of hard when you don't even have a ramen noodle to eat at night sometimes for people,
Sure.
right? So how can we sit and get into that mentality of servitude? You know what I mean? To get to a point where we can help people not survive, but actually actually start living.
Exist. Yeah.
You know what I
Just
mean?
exist, right?
Well, not just existing. I mean, it's the you know I do a lot of street work, man, and it's one of them things. Is like it's and not everybody that's on the street homeless or something like that, man. I just had this conversation with somebody the other day. We almost got into it over it. But not everybody who's out there like that, man, is lazy or has an
Sure.
addiction, man. I know people who work in two
right,
jobs and they're living in their car with their kids because they still can't
right.
afford housing, right?
We're all one medical bill. I'm one medical
Yeah.
bill literally away from being homeless. Like
Yeah.
it's,
So yeah, and that's
yeah,
the that's the reality, right?
right. It is the
But then you have
reality.
some countries who are like that, man, and it's just. But that's what I'm saying, culture wise. You
Yeah.
have countries that are like that, third world or something like that, man, but they still try to help take care of their own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we don't do that here. So how? Like my thing is like, if we're wanting to get this, eventually when moving forward, we're getting this consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And we're wanting to expand it with everyone else. Like, what are the steps that we need to try to take with that? That's a later conversation, but I just wanted
Yeah.
to bring that up, right?
No,
Yeah, yeah.
I like that. And that what you just said about like third world countries, that doesn't happen in third world countries because people take care of each other.
Right.
We're the third world country. We're
Yeah.
the ones that let people sleep out on the street. And I think exactly what you just said is, you can only do so much. I can only do so much.
Sure.
Jeremiah, Faith, like we can only do so much. But as a community together, or just like individually, servitude, just like you said, you go out on the street and you help people. So
Mhm.
taking food out to people. That's what I did for Christmas. Instead of going out and unwrapping a whole bunch of Christmas gifts and everything else, I went down, I volunteered for an organization in downtown Lexington, and it's like, I'm just one person. How can I take, and this is an analogy I love, my little ripple, like my little drop, and make it a huge ripple. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I did it through service, volunteered for the whole day of Christmas, prepped food,
Mhm.
and what didn't get put out to the nonprofit, we boxed up, and I drove it right through downtown Lexington on my way back home and just handed it out to homeless people.
Yeah.
And I don't go out into the homeless communities very often. Because I want to, I'm privileged. I'll throw it out there. It's like kind of a scary thing as a woman to be
Sure.
driving around but there was something about the that really affected me when I was handing hot food to somebody who did not know what they were going to eat. And the look on their face, I rolled my window down. I was just like, I have food if you all are hungry. And I mean, it was like at one point I kind of got a little bit scared because they were coming around the car and I was like, oh shit, do I have enough food for all these people? Like, you guys are going to, I mean, I
Yeah.
was just what we didn't have. And I came back to the studio and I sat down and I just sat down on my mat and I cried because I was like, wow, how lucky am I? I'm worried about keeping a roof over my head.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, Jesus, all I need to do is go get a couple loaves of bread. It's not even that expensive. Go get a couple loaves of bread and some peanut butter, make some sandwiches and throw some chips in there. And boom,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and I
you
think
don't have to
that's
put a
kind
lot
of
more money.
where, to your point, Odell, I think and
Yeah,
Teresa, I think it just begins with us,
right.
like if you look at almost the whole broad stroke of it, it is overwhelming. You know what I mean? It can be overwhelming, but it's as long as I feel like
I,
we're doing our part, like I think
I,
that's
I
because
wasn't talking about like
well,
an
and also,
overwhelming feeling. You know what I'm saying? I'm,
yeah,
I'm just saying like, so regardless of how we look at it, either we came from struggle or we didn't, or you came from privilege or you didn't, we're still in a position of privilege, right?
yeah,
So it's easier for us to be focused and do this type of thing that we're doing and wanting to, and try to transcend and everything. But my thing is, this is where I said I'm bringing everything back. Is when he's talking about the army, he's
hmm
talking about, and we're talking about being humble and aware, and like, oh well, we got to see, like, so daily, we all have all this on the opposite side of the battlefield. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Sure.
So
Right. When some people don't even have the battlefield to begin with. And I
yeah,
think Faith, I just read yours. We
yeah,
struggle with
Faith, I was
the
on a message like you earlier about
Yeah,
that guy.
because he's free, right? He doesn't even have a battlefield to go home to.
yeah,
There's no, right? Like, there's no, the shift to the shelter are probably gone by now. How do you feed the mind when the body is hungry and people have to do whatever it takes just to survive, eat, and feel safe? Exactly. And it's like we have so much money as a country. People should not be
yeah,
sitting on the side of the road hungry. So, how do you fix that? I don't know how anybody else fix it. I know how I fix it. I carry
sure,
bottles of water around in my car. I carry hot hands. I buy a thing of hot hands. And I don't won't give anybody money, but and food and snacks and stuff like that. And when I see somebody on the side of the road that has a sign that says, please help, I roll down the window. I'm like, here's some water, here's some peanuts. I'm not giving you money, but I'm gonna at least make sure you're nourished
sure,
for the moment. And
yeah,
if
So
everybody did that,
yeah,
instead of looking at them and being like, why don't you get a job? It's like, who
yeah,
the hell can get a job when they can't eat?
yeah. And then that like when I was asking what did we do and everything else and then bringing it back, like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
maybe you know, because we ain't got to that point yet, and I'm not trying to do sport, but I'm sure you're like you've read it and everything else. But when we're
yeah,
talking about, we'll get there. It doesn't matter. We've all read it and everything else, right? So I
yeah,
said, so like when Christian is sitting there talking about like this is our duty, our purpose.
hmm
So and I was asking that question to you all to see what your thoughts would be and everything else, but like. So now I'm asking a question for y'all and myself. So if our duty and our purpose is to work on here and know that what we're doing, right?
hmm
Everyone has different roles, right, for people, but I know my role. I know my purpose,
hmm
and that's my role and my purpose. But I
yeah,
want to. My question here to you all is just like, what can I do to better get in tune with here? Because I lose focus a lot.
sure,
I
keep
lose
working on
focus.
yourself.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I lose
Stay
focus on.
sober,
Yeah, no, no. Yeah, yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
that's what you can do. You stay sober and you focus on you work on yourself, and that way you can. I think that's all any of us can do is
Yeah,
to make it an
I'm gonna
internal job,
and I
right?
will keep doing what I'm doing regardless.
Right.
You know what
I
I
know
mean?
you will. I can see the
Regardless.
drive in your eyes.
But I'm getting to like the Gita, right, or in Krishna consciousness.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I struggle, and it's not because of not understanding or not believing in everything else. It's because I take every ancient religion and faith by, you know what I mean,
Sure.
by different philosophies and different metaphors. But I'm saying though, I'm trying to get to time where I can actually focus on this, so I can. So really, my question, I'm asking suggestions,
Yeah.
right? So I wanted to bring all that up to bring it back to this point. I lose focus and lose hope in trying to do this right here because the world right now is so uh it is what it is, man. It's on
Yeah.
fire and whatnot, and there's
Yeah.
with so less hope that's out there right now. And we're trying, and I'm me and so many other people like we're trying to do with people on the streets or wherever it is and everything else. I lose hope in myself with this,
Sure.
right?
Right.
So,
Well,
and
and I
my
think I think
Don't
that's
lose hope.
yeah. Well, and
Don't lose hope.
I think that's it's easy to do that though if you stop,
Yeah.
but you can't let it overcome you. You know, because if I know I've had to like because I used to never watch the news and now I'm like getting news and things and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell's going
Well,
on? You know,
because
like
yeah,
and it's
because you
almost like
used to
you
be
have
able to hang out with your friends on Facebook. You can't hang out with your friends on Facebook anymore
yeah,
because it's like sitting in the middle of friggin' newsroom. I'm like,
yeah,
what happened to my friends? Where'd
yeah.
my friends
So
go? You know?
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, and that's back to Odell's point about social media, not even just the physical aspect of it, but just even that, like everything is so divisive now. And I think if anything we can take from the Gita is that, and especially as we go on, is that, um, I mean, the spiritual journey isn't peaceful anyway. Like anybody that's tried to do a spiritual practice, it's like, it's crazy. You're like, wait, is this working? Is this real? Like,
Mhm.
The
but
dark
just
night of the soul. The
yeah.
dark
So,
night of the soul. Yeah.
I mean, it's very comparable because just and if this is more like deeper Vedic teachings and what's called the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like after the Gita, but it talks about how there's they show a picture of or paint the picture and talk about a tree on a lake and how you can look in the lake and you can see the tree, but that's not really the tree. And that's kind of the depiction of the material world. Like we can see it, that looks real, but I mean, I throw something in it and it ripples and it's gone. The
It's an
material
illusion.
world is just an illusion of
Yep.
what
It's
is
Maya.
really nice and good in the spiritual world. So, unfortunately, we live in the material world, so we have to deal with this crap that goes on here. But and that's where I have a hard time for me because I even have to keep myself in check sometimes because I'm almost on the other end of where like, well, this is a material world. What's the matter? Like, what's going on here? I'm only going to focus on me, which is very selfish, because, and like I said, I kind of have to keep myself in check because I want to help people. I have a heart for people. I want to reach out to
Right.
homeless and like, be there for people that need me. If somebody reaches out and like, dude, I'm hard up. I can't even get out of here, or I'm stuck over here or my car broke down. Like, I want to go help people. But, I think that's where we can't be stuck in this material world, but we're in this material world to where we have to operate and show people like through, well, bhakti, like a devotion and love and service. You have to show those things to people. And again, like you said, Teresa, maybe the little ripple will kind of help
Right.
other
Right.
people.
You
And
just like, yeah, you
because,
just
well,
like
and we kind of talked
you
about it, but
throw
like,
the rock in and just hope like how can I do the least amount of energy for myself because I
yeah,
have to have my energy. I mean,
sure.
we all have to have our energy for ourselves. That's where
But
staying,
see,
like I said, staying
here's,
sober. I got sober 10 years ago
yeah.
and yeah, and I did it through yoga, not through AA. I almost did AA. I went to a yoga class instead and lo and behold, had my
I
cigarette
used
out.
I
So,
used I used AA my first 2 years, but after that, like I kind of, you know what I mean.
right,
I'm a firm
right.
believer that people can outgrow certain things, or you know what I
Right.
mean. But
But it's a constant battle, right? It's a
mm,
constant battle. And I tell myself every day when I get up, like, A, I'm going to stay sober today. And B, like, how can I, with whatever I'm doing, because I work in so many different places. Like, for instance, today, I worked at the mall. I do all
Yeah.
the mall, the plants at the mall. So stupid job. I work 5 hours
Okay.
there. I get paid hourly, clock in, clock out. Like in for like normal people, it'd be like what a menial job. For
Hmm.
me, I don't take it as a menial job. I
Yeah.
got 63 power beast plants in that mall that people are breathing in,
Yeah.
the oxygen, there's that
Yeah.
exchange. And so for me, it's like every plant I come to, every person I see, it's like I'm going to meet every single person. There's a lot of people moving materialistic. It's the most materialistic thing ever. I'm
Sure.
literally in the middle of the Fayette Mall. It is people are not looking at the plants. I don't care if they're looking at the plants.
Yeah.
They're breathing in those plants. And I know just as little old me in 5 hours time, I'm creating this entire crazy environment for other people that they don't even realize exists.
Yeah.
And I look at people in the eye. And so it's like that was my thing today. When I did my meditation today, I was like, everybody that I walk past, because I'm walking a million different places, a million different things. Everybody I walk past, I'm gonna have my head up, I'm gonna make eye contact, and I'm gonna smile.
Yeah.
And do you know how hard that is to make
It
eye
is hard.
contact?
Yeah.
It's freaking hard. And people don't want to make eye contact. But when they catch my eye and I smile and then they smile back and it doesn't even matter. They probably walked away and was like, but it's like that little,
Hmm.
it's nothing. It doesn't cost me any money. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort,
But
but
see,
it's a little ripple. And then by the end, it's like, hey, I just smiled at 800 people today and they didn't even realize I smiled at all of them.
I think it also kind of ties back into what we were saying about us comparing ourselves to other people because what's going to happen is there's also positive comparisons, so like,
Right,
man, that lady was
right,
happy, she's just over
right.
here messing with these plants at the mall nobody looks at.
Right. I'm over dancing in the corner with my earbuds and dancing, and
Yeah.
somebody will come up to me and be like,
That's why I do the
"Yeah,
pictures, like a lot of pictures I do, man, with the outreach or whatever
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's well, I'm trying to push it so I get more volunteers, but I was
Yeah.
also trying to get people, like I'm saying, I'm trying to get more people involved, trying to be like, oh, I want to do that, I want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just it's anyway. I want to keep doing this on Monday because it's I was kind of losing it on Sundays, man. Like
Sure.
if I'm being,
Well,
you know what I
so
mean?
just to give you some background, Tree, so we meet at an Apolli Center on Sundays.
I was gonna do that. I
Yeah,
saw
it's
you shared it,
yeah.
yeah." But then I
So
kind of was like, I think it's gonna be more strict of the reading, and I like what Odell said that we're bringing this into like 5,000 years later. How does
yeah.
this apply to
Well,
what
yeah.
we're doing every single day? Yeah,
Yeah, and that's
And
kind of what
I
my
love the people there on
oh
Sunday.
yeah, because Sore is
And
awesome. Yeah, and he
amazing.
knows his stuff. They've been practicing
Yeah,
a long time. Yeah.
it's just I get lost in the translation. You know what I mean? Like, because we'll be reading right, and then he's got to go back, and then he'll speak
Yeah.
in
You
Nepali or
kind of
whatever.
lose the momentum a little bit.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh well, I'm trying to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Th-
But I don't.
But
I didn't.
anyway,
I hope we didn't
think
hijack your Monday thing, man. It was just some genuine questions. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no,
other
huh?
people just
No,
want to
no.
talk.
This is
yeah,
exactly what I wanted was discussion and
yeah. We have to keep doing what we can. I'm reading Faith stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, Faith,
figure out a way to stay encouraged.
optimism
Yep.
is contagious, right? Optimism is contagious. Lead by doing is where there's room to grow the community. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
all we can do.
Yeah.
It's what focusing internally, what energy I'm forgetting about it's almost ojas versus ama. What am I leaving behind? Am I leaving in this situation behind a toxic residue, which is almas, or am I leaving sweet honey nectar, which is ojas? And
Mhm.
so 5 hours of my life today in the mall, smiling at everybody. Nobody, it's just a one-on-one contact. But if you do it enough times, and that part, like just like you said, like I smile at that person, then did they smile at the next person? I have no idea. I don't know what happens when they walk away from me. They're
Yeah.
probably shaking their head and they're like, "That girl is nuts." But then maybe it'll give them the courage to
That's what
look
they're
somebody
thinking.
they don't know
Yeah.
in the eye and smile. And if we could start meeting each other, and I think that's where it is. You just start with yourself. You meet other people eye to eye and say, look, we're from
Yeah.
two different backgrounds. We need to stop reading the external and
Yeah.
start listening energy, people's
Boom.
energy.
Mic drop.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Boom, right. At the end of the day, And I wish like ah, I wish more. And this, and I'm a yoga teacher. I teach 6 classes a week. Do I really teach the asana poses? No, I don't give a shit if somebody can do a downward facing dog. It's not about that. For me, it's about letting them, like giving them the time and space to clear their mind so they can start doing the same thing that we're doing, is saying, why do I react to this way? And
Hmm.
how can I make this world a better place instead of coming in and complaining about it? Okay, well, we complained about it. It sucks. Yes, we know that. We're bombing all these countries. We're probably going to get bombed ourselves. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah,
Like at this point in time, anything can happen.
sure.
How can I make not just my day the best day, but everybody else I come across, especially the people that piss me off?
Yeah. And
Especially
you,
the ones that are standing in line and they've got their hands crossed and they're tapping and they're pissed off about something. How can I lighten that load for them and be like,
yeah,
well, yeah, you're waiting
you,
in line, so I'll have a conversation with you and make the time pass.
that sounds like bhakti. Good job.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm kind of a mixed. I'm a yogi of mixed bags. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
But
I'd
yeah,
probably be more like the Raj, like trying to combine all of them. But
yeah,
you can do that, Odell. And don't, like, I can tell just by hearing like the way you talk about your past and stuff, don't look at that as a bad thing.
Oh, I don't,
Like,
trust me. Like, but you
right.
know how
Yeah.
if you did
Yeah.
AA and everything else, they talked about collect like logging your character defects and then humbly asking to remove all of them. I didn't do that with all of them because some of my character defects I used to benefit me and others. Like
Right.
I got the gift the jab when it comes to the tort systems and or legislators and everything else. I got the gift
Right.
the jab when I got people like let me set up free Narcan boxes at their businesses and stuff like that. No,
Right. You're doing
every
what you're doing exactly what you were asking. What should I do? You're already doing it. You just
well no
need
oh,
to.
yeah yeah that but I'm asking as far as how
you
can
meant
I
from the bhakti aspect, right?
yeah like I'm trying to get. Sorry, my phone's about to
Come
die.
to Kirtan and sing with
Yeah.
us.
Well, I
That's how
mean,
you sing with us.
yeah, I'm just it's hard to try to keep that type of like stay in the mindset of
Sure,
like with Krishna and everything else
Of course.
when you see so much else going. But at the same time, I know what it is. It's me trying to play God. You know what I mean? Thinking
sure.
I can
You think you
save
know what's
everybody.
supposed to happen? Yeah,
Well, I think I
Right.
know like what you know what I mean. Like I'm like in my mind, I'm like, why the fuck are more
yeah.
people or the government or anybody else allowing this to happen? Right?
Well, I think
And then
one
it's just
thing.
happening, and then I'm supposed to sit here and try to be all happy and all doughy and everything else, and trying to
Well,
read
see, I
this and
don't
do
think you
everything
have to
else.
be all happy-go-lucky. One thing that I would suggest, and what I try to do sometimes, not even for like crappy situations, but for anything, is, you know, what can I learn from this, and how can I grow from this? Like I don't like. I don't know the answer. Like what can I learn from us
Right.
bombing Iran? Like I don't know.
No, yeah.
I know that I don't want to be that type of person. I can learn that. I know
But see,
that,
Right.
and
you know what I mean?
that's terrible in itself. But I'm like right now, I'm speaking more on the local level. Like we have it right
Sure.
here on the
But you know
doorstep.
what I'm saying though?
Yeah, no,
Like
no,
I'm
no,
just
no.
trying to
I
use
know.
like a
Right.
big example.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like get you on my like where I'm at
Yeah.
mentally, right?
But I guess ultimately
Right.
what I'm trying to say is like if you try to put it through that lens and reflect on it to say, is there anything I can learn from this and apply it to either my personal life, my spiritual life, or anything? And you know what? The answer may be no. I mean, you don't always have to like make up stuff,
Right.
like, or like milk a freaking mustard seed, like something that may not,
Yeah.
nothing even be there, but
Yeah.
anyway,
Because out of 10 mustard seeds you plant, only one of them actually ever sees the light.
exactly. But
And so I think it's that humble awareness,
yep.
going back to Odell's humble awareness. It's the humble awareness of saying, I am only one person.
Hmm.
How can I take the least amount of energy and make the largest impact with what? And it's bites. It's not looking, like you can't. What are we going to do? Anything we say in here is not going to change what's happening in the Middle
Sure.
East. It's not going to change what's happening in our own government. It's local government. It's little bites.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that, like, literally one person at a time, everybody you see, take one person on at a time. And, when they look at you and they give you that dirty look back at
Yep.
them and smile and just be like, how can I help you today? I don't have a lot, but I'll give you what I can give you. And
That's what I try to do now. Because it used to be I'd tell them,
right,
you know, bloody noses are contagious, but
right, exactly. I can tell you're a rough and tough kind of guy, right?
used to be.
Somebody look
I'm
at you
a big
wrong.
softy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody would look at you wrong, and that's the way the world is. We're all reacting to each other.
Yeah.
And with
That's here, and I'm
somebody,
glad you said that. Like that's one of the good things, like what we talked about return, but in the Gita and just Krishna consciousness anyway, man, is it's also very helpful for me is not being uh reacting to a situation, right? Like we don't always have to react.
Yeah.
Or if we do, we got to be mindful in how we react. You know what I mean? Like,
we need to respond.
Yeah.
respond, not react,
Yep.
respond, right? And that's helped me out a whole lot. But
Right.
that's
And
and
I learned how to do that on the yoga mat, because when you react to yourself, you react to other people. But
mhm,
when you can learn to breathe, take a breath,
mhm,
check your ego, and stop and say, you know what, this has nothing to do with me. This person gave me a dirty look and up to me and has nothing to do with me. It's what's going on. And instead of being like, hey, why did you look at me that way, punching him in the face, you look at him and you smile and say, obviously something, like, not obviously, that's probably a bad word, but like, how can I help you? And
Yeah.
I think if we met people with more compassion that we didn't know, that was trying
radical
to
empathy.
Yeah.
right, when you're driving along and somebody pulls out in front of you, cut you off, I mean,
Oh, I
who
still get
doesn't?
mad, but then I'm mad at myself
Right,
because I'm like, well, what if they had to go to a funeral or something? What if there's somebody
right,
dying? And then I start thinking like, they better have somebody dying like to be, you know what I mean?
right, right.
Like,
But that I think is how you, that's how you, you just have to, I don't want to say fix yourself, but when you realize
You
that,
have to
like,
be
of course,
conscious.
some
Yeah.
yeah.
humbly aware. I
So,
Mhm.
just got fired up because this person cut me off. I want to slam on my horn. I want to flip them off, and I want to say,
yeah.
out the window. But instead, I'm just going to wave them on and wish them well and say, like, wherever you're
Well,
going,
and
obviously you're in much more of a hurry than I am. So I'm going to give you the right of way, and you just keep on keeping on,
we'll eventually get to that, but if you
yeah,
try to look at everybody, because the Gita talks about it, but if you look at everybody being a part and parcel of Krishna and everybody is a piece of God, then you really don't want to get, I mean, I'm not going to yell at Krishna, or
right,
get upset, so, but to your point, even because I used to have really bad anxiety, and that was one of the things that I had to do was I could never eliminate it, but I could bring down the peaks and the length, so, but it was all
right, becoming
through,
aware of it.
yeah, and that was through the whole awareness of it is learning to be
Yeah,
like noticing it and then shutting it down. And it's okay to feel those things, but you just can't stay there. But we're about almost 15 minutes over
that's it.
from what, but it
When
was,
I saw that it was an hour, I was like, no way, we're getting this done
I
in
know
an hour. It's going to be too
I'm
long.
trying, but no, it
Hey,
was
yeah, it's
really,
all right.
really good discussion, everybody. And
Yeah.
so thank you so much for coming. The next
I
session
just
we'll
did have
do,
one more comment in there.
oh,
Are hey, do you, like, what kind of an I know you're an attorney. Is this like your field of, I know you can't really answer that because
ASW, right?
hold on, go ahead. You can talk. She's a public defender. Yeah.
You
so
work with
this
the
is what you
ASWs though,
do.
right?
Yeah.
ASWs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're living your dharma. Like, you did exactly what you needed to do. And I'm sure it wasn't easy, right? And a
No.
public defender, it's not like you're making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You're defending broke people getting paid by a broke ass government that'd rather bomb Iran than give people like,
Yeah. She actually
we
makes
just
less
we
than
just right,
she did before law school.
right,
But,
right. But you did it because you made that sacrifice for yourself for the greater good. And
yeah.
that is exactly what we can do. It's like, same with me, like in my yoga studio. I mean, it's not very big. I don't have a huge impact like these other studios do, but I'm not teaching people how to do downward facing dog. I don't give a shit if they do downward facing dog. I'm teaching them how to be better people and better human beings.
Yeah.
And there's not much of a demand for that, apparently. But and I keep my classes small, and everyone's like, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm like, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
which is helping other people, maybe on a small scale. I'm never going to be rich. I don't need to be rich.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter. I already am. Because when you're living your Dharma, you're going to have so many opportunities come your way, like the Fayette Mall plans,
Yeah.
like that was a stupid opportunity to come my way. It pays a third of my rent here, and I'm
Yeah.
just playing with plants,
Yeah.
you know?
That's awesome.
So yeah, when you're living your Dharma, the opportunity, right back to the Gita, you
Yeah.
don't need to have material wealth. You
Yeah.
need to be living your Dharma, and the divine is going to give you exactly
Yep.
exactly what you need to get your Dharma done.
Exactly. Perfect. So, I planned on doing this every other Monday. That way, it's not too burdensome for everybody as well as me.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I
But
still need to, I do need my yoga class every other Monday. I told Meredith, I was like, it's just every other Monday.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, yeah. We lured you in with the every other, so it's perfect. Yeah. So yeah, and of course, you feel free to share with people if you think it'd benefit anybody, just have open discussion and stuff. Feel free. And if you got any questions, you can message me. Next session we'll do 11 through 20 and we'll see what we get into. And like I said, reach out if you need any questions or got anything. And I think 11 through 20 will start to be kind of the tension before Arjuna's crisis starts to unfold. So,
The panic attack ensues.
yeah, yeah, which is still
Hey,
applicable for today.
Right.
if you if
5,000
you
years ago,
ever
they were having panic
if you
attacks.
ever got time, um, you want to do this every other Monday. I need to get with somebody to start reading the other ones.
Srimad Bhagavatam?
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
got I got the whole set, man. I barely even made it through the first one yet, the first
yeah,
canto. So,
yeah, it's a
um,
lot. That's
oh yeah, it's
so
it's a lot, but it's like going to the gym if you had a spotting partner. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
Like,
Yep.
Well, so what's funny is I listen a lot to HD Goswami. And he made a comment the other day about how like the Bhagavad Gita is like going to high school and you really learn,
mhm,
but you don't learn all the life lessons. And then the Srimad Bhagavatam's like college level courses to where
yeah.
you're like, I don't know what the hell's going on. You either drop out or because it's a
After
lot
we
of meat.
Well,
maybe
yeah,
But
after we get through the Bhagavad Gita, we
yeah,
move on to the next one. We just
yeah,
keep going.
yeah.
I
yeah.
Srimad
think.
Bhagavatam's awesome because there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of really good stories in there, you
I've
know.
It's
never read
just
it.
I could like do it like they have YouTube channels where they go through it with you and everything else. But
Yeah.
man, I could turn that off if I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just feel like if I had somebody,
No, that is actually my
like or
plan
like
for
having a
these
gym partner or something like that.
yeah,
Okay.
is to finish this and then get hop into the Srimad Bhagavatam. No,
All right. Cool.
yeah, it's actually that whole setup there. It's like two rows of books.
Yeah, I
It's
got them.
massive. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, you don't have to give me the book each time like you gave me
Well,
this one. I
they should
appreciate
actually be on Database, so for free.
well, but is it the physical copy or is it
No,
the
it's just the
digital?
library. Yeah.
PDF. Yeah.
Nah, I want the physical copy. I'm a
There,
physical
so
copy buddy.
I can
Actually, they
like
only have the first canto on there.
if I sent you my number, if you send me a text, I'll send you this link. It's on a WhatsApp link or whatever, man. And like, if you, they'll actually send you a set for free.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Oh,
Srimad.
That's how I got mine.
wait, it's on WhatsApp? Oh, I don't have WhatsApp.
There's
Yeah,
a
I
yeah,
sent
there's
you.
several people.
Yeah, I sent you my text my
Okay, I have it
number.
right. Yeah, I'm gonna call you real quick because I don't know how to store a phone number. So you'll have mine. Yeah, if you'll text it to me, that'd be awesome. My number should have just popped up in your phone at 606.
Oh, you
Oh,
just kicked him
he's
off.
gone.
Yeah,
He's
he'll
like,
be
wow.
fine. Yeah,
No, hopefully he got it. If he didn't and he reaches out to you,
that's all right. Yeah, I'll get with him. I've known
yeah,
Odell,
or
so
I'm sure he sounds like he's on social media. He can hop
yeah,
right
he
on
is.
social media. Yeah, I can't do the what's up app, man. I tried. It's too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
When I told you it was like all foreign dudes just trying to wife me up, I just couldn't do it. It's too many ridiculous spam messages.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah.
I'll try
All
to I'll
right.
try to remind you and keep you in the loop through like Messenger or something then. So
Yeah,
just
yeah,
send you a
yeah.
reminder.
Well, and I have it on my calendar, so if I don't get the link by like, you'll have the
It's
link
same
on.
link. I'll just say
Oh,
I keep the
well,
same link.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nope. If I can't make it one week for whatever reason, but Monday nights are usually I'm here. I'm
Same.
usually in class on Monday nights. So
Okay.
yeah. And I already told Meredith I was halving her classes. I'm like, I'm sorry, but you know, it's one of those things. I get
Yeah.
on my mat quite a bit. I deserve to sit and I
Yeah.
love doing this. I
Well,
love
no,
study
thank you so
groups. I
much for
love
coming.
yeah,
And
no, thank you for doing this. I love
yeah.
it. I friggin' love it. I could sit and talk this nonsense all day long.
Yeah, same. So that's why I
Now I'm
tried to
gonna go
put a time limit on it, but
yeah, well, my teacher on two, I think I told you that I re-enrolled back in school with my meditation teacher. It's Tuesdays. And at first he said 12 to 1. And then it was 12 to 1:15. And then it was 12 to 1:30. Now it's advertised as 12 to 2. And we do not get done until like 2:15.
that's so
I
funny.
mean we can't do it in an hour.
Yeah.
Too good. Once you get into it, especially if you have good discussions, once you
Yeah.
start getting into it, it's like, where did that hour go?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like trying to teach 60 minutes of yoga. My instructors do that. I'm like, what? Nervous system hasn't even settled 30 minutes. You got to give them
Yeah.
at least 45 extra. I go an hour and a half.
Nice.
Thank
Well,
you
thank
so
you so
much.
much. Have a good
We
night.
need to figure out your setup so Faith can participate without having to type.
I know.
I
She said
understand
she'll go
that.
upstairs next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank
Awesome. Well,
you
thank you
so
so
much,
much.
Jeremiah. That was really good. Yes. No,
Good.
thank you so much. Bye,
Appreciate you.
Faith.
She said bye. Have a good night.